Right, students, good evening. I'm Anuttara here. From today onwards, we are going to discuss our pilot paper, which is comes under digital business strategy. So, the thing is, right, this is a paper discussion, and I would like to have an interaction with you all during the paper discussion. Okay, so the target is like this. For your paper for the digital business strategy, you are getting 50 MCQ questions, right? So from a one day we cannot discuss the entire paper, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to discuss the paper part by part, right? So this is the part 1 session, right, today, that we are going to discuss. So there we'll try to cover up until, I mean, 15 questions, MCQ questions. And meanwhile, while we are discussing a one question, let's say we are discussing about the strategy, right? So there we are going to brush up the things available under the strategy section in your digital business strategy uh, syllabus, right? So if you have any questions, right, please do ask, right? So you can use the chat even to use ask the question, or else please unmute yourself and please raise the question meanwhile. Okay, because there will be a lot of questions, because this subject, it's about like how we are going to use digital technology, right, with the business strategy. Okay, that's the idea, right? So your subject is what? It's a digital business strategy, no? Right? So in there we are going to see how we can implement business strategy by using digital devices, digital technologies, right? So the first question, according to the pilot paper, it's like what best describes the characteristics of a strategic decision, right? So before moving to this question, like here it says like what best describes the characteristics of a strategic decision. It is asking about a strategic decision, right? So before moving to a strategic decision, so we have to understand what is a strategy, right? So what is a strategy, we have to understand that, right? And what is a strategy, and why we need strategy, and who can implement these strategies, right? Those things we have to understand, right? So now just tell me, right, according to your idea, what is a strategy? You have to interact. Yes, what is a strategy? You can unmute yourself and tell what is a strategy. You have completed the syllabus, and just tell me what is a strategy. Any ideas? Yes, any ideas? So if you can, give me just one answer, and maybe, the answer can be wrong. It doesn't matter, right? Then I can know what is the level of, So please answer. It is a, okay, I got a one reply. It is the long-term direction. Yes, 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 yes. Go ahead. What is a strategy? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Specific objective. Okay, right. So can you define a strategy from the time? Is it a long term thing, is it a short term thing? What do you think? Yeah, long term. Okay, right, long term. Yes, it is a long term thing, no? Right. So I got a one reply. It is like from Jaffe, right? It is the long term direction of an organization, right? Somewhat correct, right? So we can define the strategy as the long term direction of an organization, right? So look at the correct definition, right? Strategy itself says like strategy is the direction and the scope, right, of an organization over the long term, which achieves advantage in a changing environment, right? through its configuration of resources and competencies with the aim of fulfilling stakeholders' expectations, right? So here, according to this definition, there are some important points which we have to discuss, right? It says directly strategy is the direction and the scope, right? It says like, okay, it is the direction and the scope, right? Scope means where you have to start and where you have to end. That defines the scope, right? Okay. Directions mean to where that you have to go, right? Okay. So here it says like is the direction and the scope of an organization, right? So if we take an organization, strategy defines the direction, okay, where to go, and scope, where you have to start and where you have to end, right, of the organization over the long term, right? It is talking about the long term direction and the long term scope, right? When it comes to the business, long term means 5 plus years, okay, right? Business, in business terms, long term means 5 plus years, right? Okay, more than 5 or more than 5, right? Short term means some are defining like it's like 3 years, or some are defining like it is 1 year, okay, right? So here strategy is about a long term direction, because strategy we cannot apply for short term. It's very, I mean, impossible to apply, right? So here it's about long time, right? And here it says like which achieves advantage in a changing environment, right? Because each and every organization, right, it operates in the environment, right? We know we have pestle factors. I hope you know about the pestle factors: political, environment, technological, economical, no, legal, right? Those are the pestle factors we have, right? Social, right? So within that environment, organization is operating, right? Okay. So when it comes to the business environment, we have macro environment and the micro environment, right? So here this environment is always changing, right? It's always changing means it's not static, it's dynamic, right? Whatever the environment we have today will be not available, right? Will be not available on tomorrow, right? So if we are going to talk about the what political environment can be changing, right? Maybe the new government has came, or else new government rules and regulations will come, right? So when it comes to the technological environment, it is also changing, we know. I mean, whatever the technology today we have will not be available on tomorrow. It is another different set of technologies, right? So this environment is always changing, right? So as a good organization, if that organization wants to be sustainable in the industry, right, it should address this changing, right? Otherwise organization cannot survive in the industry. That's the idea, right? We have good examples, right? A lot of organizations, I mean, I can take one example like Kodak. If you can remember, Kodak was the organization or the company who invented camera, right? But at the moment, Kodak is out from the business, out from the industry. Now Nikon came, Canon came, lot of other brands came into the scenario with the digital technologies, right? Where the Kodak didn't touch the digital technology, right? Okay. So in that case, why this is happening actually? Meanwhile, the environment changes are there, right? Because of the environmental changes, customer needs and wants are changing, right? So I mean, at early days, you may learn that customer needs are like basic food, right? Water, air, those things, right? But now it's more complex, right? More than that we are expecting, right? Okay. If you know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? There's a person called Maslow, and he divided this hierarchy, I mean, the needs into 5 different stages, right? That much of needs are there now as an individual, right? It's not just about food, water, air, and protection, those things. Even we are valuing our self esteem as well, right? Even we are the education become a need, qualification become a need now, right? Okay. And protection, social life has become a need now, clear? So because of that, customer needs and wants are changing because of this environmental changes, right? So if the company wants to sustain in the industry, definitely they have to address these needs and wants, right? And they have to adjust, they have to act or the react towards the environmental changes, right? So to react these to the environmental changes, they need strategies, right? I'll take one example later, right? How the organization can react, okay? And here it says like when you're reacting, right, when you are going to take advantages from the changing environments, you have to configure your resources and the competencies, right? You have to configure, I mean, within an organization you have a lot of resources and you have a lot of competencies, right? So you have to configure these things properly, right? Okay. And and meanwhile, right, meanwhile you have to make sure that you are fulfilling your stakeholders expectations, right? Okay, that's the idea, right? If we take an organization, we have a lot of stakeholders, right? Even employees are stakeholder, customer stakeholders, investors, suppliers, no, government, it's another stakeholder, pressure groups another set of stakeholders, unions another set of stakeholders, right? Shareholders another set of stakeholders, right? So here, while you're addressing these changes in the environment by configuring your resources and competencies, meanwhile you have to make sure that you're fulfilling the stakeholders expectations, right? So this is known as a strategy, right? Okay, strategy, remember that it's about the direction and the scope of the organization in a long term, right? And why you are doing this, you want to achieve the advantages in the changing environment, right? And how you are going to do that? By configuring the resources and the competencies, meanwhile you make sure to fulfill your stakeholders expectations. Okay, so I'm believing that you are clear with the strategy, the definition of strategy. Any questions? Do you have any questions? Please ask. Now, hope that you're okay, right? Strategy is what? A long term direction and the scope, right? Why we need that? Because we want to take advantages from the changing environment. How the organization is going to do that? By you configuring or by utilizing the resources and the competencies, right? And meanwhile it should ensure the what ensure to fulfill the stakeholders expectation, right? So this is known as a strategy, right? So I'll take one example, I mean if we take McDonald's, right, this is the very best example for the strategy, uh, I mean lessons, right? McDonald's, the biggest competitor is the Burger King, right? When Burger King came to the scenario, McDonald's were like I mean shocked, right? Because McDonald's were the only company who produced burgers, and they were the what owner of the concept of burger, right? So and we know the McDonald's logo is the clown, right? And the Burger King itself, they have mentioned like they are the kings, right? Okay, so they are doing a lot of, I mean if you take the Burger King, they are doing a lot of marketing campaigns which affects to the McDonald's customers, right? So McDonald's, according to the changing environment, if we study this McDonald company, but because of the changing environment, right, people are we know nowadays people are more into what slow food concept, right? Okay, before 10 to, I mean before 10 years ago, like people were more into fast food, right? I hope you know the difference between the fast food and the slow food, right? It's not about the preparation time of a food, right? It's about the digesting time of a food. Okay, if we take fast food, right, we are quickly digesting, right? So the number of nutritions, the amount of nutritions that we are going to take in or absorb into our body is very less, right? Slow food means I mean it takes time to digest, right? And number of amount of nutritions that we are going to absorb to our body is high, right? So nowadays we can see because of the lot of lot of diseases and obesity, right? Like diseases like diabetics and all, because of those things people are more concerned about their food, right? So now people are throwing away the fast food and they are quite moving into the slow food culture, right? Even we are doing that, no, right? We are seeking for more nutritions. We are going to reduce the number of what amount of the carbohydrate, like that we are into that now, right? So because of these environmental changes, now our custom we are the customers, and our needs and wants have changed, right? So now McDonald, it has identified this, it has understood this problem. Now the environment is changing, now people are more into slow food, right? So they came up with a strategy, right? What they have done is they have introduced some salads. I hope you have seen that, right? Apart from burgers, they have introduced salads. They start to sell salads, right, including their menu, right? Okay, they have included the salads into menu at a very premium price. It doesn't matter, right? If we are concerning about health, definitely we would like to pay premium price and take the salad in, right, than a burger, right? So they included salads into their menu, right? That's the strategy they applied, right, to overcome this problem, right? So now people can take slow foods or nutritious food from the McDonald's, right? It's a one thing, right? And another thing, cultural matter, ethnic foods, right? So Burger King, it is a very McDonald's, right, is a very popular example. If we take in now McDonald's, we have worldwide, right? So the thing is, when it comes to the India, right, they open up a store at India, right? So the thing is, McDonald's, American McDonald's, they sell beef burgers, right? So they cannot sell the same burger in India because beef is prohibited in India. They are worship for cows, right? Okay, so they cannot sell same products, right, by putting up a store in India, right? So Indian taste is different, right? They are into more what spices. They have some what spices called masala and all, right? So they have different culture group or the ethnic background, right? To overcome this, what they have done is they have introduced customized burgers, right? They omit the beef burgers from their Indian menu, and they introduce different burgers with different tastes, which is compatible with local culture, right? So they introduced chicken burger with masala chicken burger, like that, right? So they customized their menu, right? They didn't stick into the same menu, right? Okay, what they did was they customized the menu according to the country, according to the culture, right? So that's the strategy they used, right, to overcome that problem, right? What To beat up the Burger King, right? And there's another problem. Most of the supermarkets, now even in Sri Lanka also, we have seen that if we take Keels, they have their own bakery now, right? Okay, within the Keels store, they have their own bakery products, right? So actually, by analyzing the consumer behavior, most of the marketeers, they have found that now the uh, during the weekends, families, the entire family is doing the grocery shopping, right? So while the mother is doing the grocery shopping, right? Okay, the rest of the family would like to have some maybe a burger, right, or some kind of a pastry, right? And earlier that facility was not available in the store, that means within the supermarket, right? Because supermarket just sold the groceries, right? They didn't touch the bakery items, right? Now they have understood, the McDonald's have understood that, okay, now the food cities or the supermarkets, they have their separate bakery products at the same premises, right? So now the thing is, from those things, they are not generating more profit, they are not generating a profit, but what they can do is they can keep the customer in, right? Okay, people would like to go there because even the bakery is available at the same place, right? So they want to keep the customer stick to that place, that's it, right? But they are not generating profits from that strategy, no. right? So how the McDonald's overcame this problem? They negotiated with the supermarkets and they put up a small outlet within a supermarket. Okay, right? So supermarket, if the supermarket doesn't have a bakery, right? Okay, what they have done is they negotiated with the supermarket chain and they put up a small what outlet there. So within the supermarket, even the McDonald is available. McDonald's small outlet is there. So still the customer comes to McDonald's, right? So that's how they implement that strategy to beat up that, right? So like that, that's a very small example how the strategy works, right? And how strategy can address the changing environment. Okay, and here when it comes to the strategic decision, right? Strategic decision, there are some characteristics. It's not just a decision, it's a strategic decision, right? Strategy is now according to the strategy definition, it's about the direction and the scope of the organization, right? So here when it comes to the strategic decision, right, it is very complex, right? Okay, it is very complex means we cannot define it properly, right? Okay, we cannot define it properly, it's very complex because it's about the entire organization, right? It's about the entire organization and also it's long term, so it's very complex, right? And another thing is uncertain, right? We cannot tell that exactly whether this will be a success one or a failure one, right? On beforehand we cannot tell like that, so it's uncertain, right? Because now strategy is about long term planning, right? Long term decisions, right? So in that case, meanwhile within the long term means 5 years, 5 plus years, right? So in that time if something changes, right, we cannot say whether the strategy will work, right, accordingly what we have planned earlier, right? So it's very uncertain, right? And also effects on the business operations. Yes, if the strategic decision is going to affect on the business operations, right? Like the McDonald example, when they decided to sell ethnic food, right, by customizing their burgers, they have to change their business operations, they have to change their process production line, right? They have to produce different type of burger, right, with the masala chicken and all, right? So it the strategic decision is going to strategic decision is going to affect on the entire business operations, right? And also affects the entire organization. It's about the organization as a one, it's not about the part, right? Okay, if we take something like, okay, strategic decision cannot be apply to a one particular department in the organization, no, right? It's about the entire organization. When the strategic decisions are going to make by the organization relevant people, they have to think about the entire organization, right? Okay, they cannot think about a part, and even the strategy cannot apply for a part, apply for a separate unit in the organization, no, it's about the entire organization, right? So here remember that it is not like just taking a decision, just taking a day-to-day decision at your business. It's a strategic decision, right? So in terms of strategy, definitely it is complex, uncertain, effect on business operations and affect the entire organization, right? So here these are the characteristics we can talk about a strategic decision, right? So if you have any questions, please ask. Are you clear with the process and what is this strategy and how strategy works and characteristics and those things? Any questions that you want to ask from me? Yes, any questions? Right, okay, right, next question. Yeah, now yes, we'll see, I got a chat. Not displaying my presentation, is that so? uh Let me try again. Okay, right, wait, I'll share my screen again. Window, this is the presentation. Yeah, now Now what do you think? It's displaying, right? Yes. Okay. Right. So now the uh, strategy, we know what is a strategy and all, right? And when it comes to an organization, right, we have to manage these strategies, right? It's not just implement a strategy and applying it and waiting for the results. No, it's not like that. We have to manage it, you know, management, no, right? Okay, we have to manage this strategy, right? So managing a strategy is known as strategic management. Okay, so it, the second question it asks like levels that strategic management occurs in an organization, right? So it is asking what are the levels that the strategic management occurs, right? Strategy would be implemented by a one place, right? Okay, it's about the entire organization, but the strategy should be managed by different levels. That's the idea, right? So when we are talking about an organization, mainly uh, we are talking about three levels of management, right? Where the management happens, there are three levels, right? I'm not talking about now strategic management, okay, I'm just talking about management, right? So when it comes to organization, there are three levels of management where you have to perform management in three levels, right? So it's like a pyramid, right? What I mean, I have included here, it's like a pyramid. We can divide management levels into three in an organization. The top level we can say as a top level management, the second level we can tell it as the middle level management, and the third level we can name it as a bottom level management or operational level management, right? So most of the time top level we could find that board of directors, chief what chief officers like CEO, CIO, right? CEO, right? CEO, like those people are falling into the top level management, right? Including the board of directors and all the chief officers, right? And those are the people who are working in the top level management in an organization, in any organization, right? When it comes to the middle level, that means the second layer, we could find all the department heads there, right? Head of HR, head of finance, head of IT, head of marketing, right? Those people are relying on the middle layer, right? If the organization has the branches around the island, we can take all the branch managers included to this second layer, right? And the third layer, that's the operational level or the bottom layer. It says like all the supervisors, line managers, supervisors, right? Those people are included for this operational level, right? So these are the three levels of management, right? Most of the companies we can find these three layers, three levels, right? Some organizations, some blue chip companies, they have divided this second layer, I mean the second layer into two, like senior managers and the junior managers, right? The second layer can be divided into two. Some blue chip companies has done that, right? So they can divide it like junior level, junior managers and the senior managers, right? And but most of the time we could find only three levels, right, as a management in an organization, right? Nowadays also, now we are hearing that because of this coronavirus and so on, people, I mean organizations are cutting down the staff and so on, right? And that process is known as delayering, right? Delayering means you are removing people from the organization and restructuring, right? Those things are happening in these days. When it comes to delayering, the threat comes to the middle level, actually, right? Threat comes to the middle level. They are trying to take out people from the second layer, that means the middle level management, right? So the threat directly comes to here. They need the top level people, they need the operational level people, so the threat comes to this place, right? Now here when it comes to the strategy, all three layers, they have to help for the strategic management, right? So here we can see the top level people, they are dealing with corporate strategy, right? Top level people, they are dealing with corporate strategy, and the middle level people, they are dealing with business level strategy, and the bottom level people, they are dealing with operational strategies, right? So these three are the three levels of strategic management: corporate, business level, and operational strategy, right? So I hope you are okay with what are the definitions and so on, right? So if you have any questions regarding the question number 2, you can ask, right? It's asked about levels that strategic management occurs in an organization. So 3: corporate strategy, business level, and the operational strategy. Okay. Any questions? If you have any questions, you can raise. Right. Okay. Third question, right? Extranet can be divided into, right? So the extranet now, if we take an organization, nowadays actually, because of the technology, organizations have created a lot of competitive advantages and so on. We are going to discuss those things, right? So because of that, within an organization we can see systems, different IT systems, right? So the mainly we can see the intranet and extranet, right? If you can see this image, intranet is about a system which performs or which operates within the organization, right? Within the organization domain, intranet is operating, right? Extranet is what, right? To this intranet we can involve external people, right? Let's say now, this is a production company, right? Let's say this is a production company, and for this production company we have suppliers, right? So suppliers, they are supplying the raw materials for the production, right? So within the production company they have an intranet with all the systems integrated, right? All the employees, right, have the authority to access the intranet, right? So they are the people who can check the stock levels and what sales, right, and employee details, right? Like that, whatever the data related to the organization can be accessed from the intranet, right? So here, let's say now, by having now, when it comes to the production, they want to give some kind of some set of data to the suppliers, right? So suppliers can check whether they have enough raw materials. If not, they can what supply to the production, this production company, right? So if we want to give some kind of a view of our data to some kind of external party through the internet, right, we can implement some kind of a extranet, right? So here, some outside person of this person is not an employee of this particular organization. Some outside person can log into the system by using their own credentials means the username and the password, and they can view a separate view of the system, right? So within the extranet, these external people, they won't be able to access all the data available in the organization. No, it's impossible, right? So supplier cannot check the employee salary. No, cannot do like that, right? Some kind of a small wave related to their domain we can wave, right? So that system is known as the extranet, right? And extranet always possible through the internet actually, right? Here you can see, this is a diagram, this is the internal network, right, of the organization, and this is the external what users of the system, right? And through the internet, see, this is the internet, right? Through the internet we have connected these two, right? This connection point is the internet, and you can see we have a firewall. Firewall protects the internal, what here, firewall protects, it's like a normal wall actually, right? Okay, that means the idea behind the firewall is it's protecting, it's like a wall, right? Okay, why we have a wall, I mean around our house, we want the protection, right? That's the idea, the same idea they have implemented here, right? We have hardware firewall as well as software firewall, right? So from this firewall helps us to filter whatever the data we are passing from intranet to extranet and from the extranet to intranet, right? Okay, because here nowadays if we are talking about organization, most valuable asset, right, or the valuable resource that the organization has is what? Data. Not the employees, not the history, not the infrastructure, not those things, right? Organization nowadays actually, yeah, nowadays most valuable or the asset or the resource for an organization is what? Data, right? So to protect data they will do anything, right? If the data is gone, right, okay, they cannot survive in the industry. That's the idea. Okay, right? So they store numerous amount of data, right? Now we are talking about big data concept. If the data is not there, that means the organization can't survive in the industry, right? That's how data has changed the things, right? Early days data matters, right? But not like these days. Okay, so because of that, see, you can see extranet and intranet is dividing from a firewall, right? And these two are linked together by using the internet, right? So extranet, this extranet we can divide into two: intranet and supranets, right? These are the two types of extranets that we can found in the industry, right? So here actually extranet cannot access all the available data in the intranet. You have to remember that, right? Just one part of data, right? For if we are giving some facility for the suppliers, we can give like raw material details, the stock levels and so on, raw material levels and so on, those things only, not the other things, right? So that's the concept behind this extranet and intranet. And remember, we have two types: intranet and supranets, right? So any questions on that? Any questions? Right. So the fourth question, yeah, they have given a scenario, right? Look at this scenario. If an educational institute, right, set up a web-based information systems which allow its academic staff, right, to analyze the student grades and take decisions, that is an example of, they have given few answers, right? So look at this question. If an educational institute, okay, organization, right, set up a web-based information systems, right? Information systems, we can have two types of information systems. One is web-based, right? Web-based means you are using web browser and the internet to connect with this particular system. And the other one is we are saying like console based or a standalone application where you don't need any technology, any web technology to connect. Okay, right? So here now the trend is web based information system because of different reasons. At any point you can, even now these days we are at home, no, but we are still working for our organization. How it is possible? Because we have web based system. At any time we can log into our systems and perform our duties, right? That's the idea, right? So here they have set up a web-based information systems which allows its academic staff, that means to their employees, academic staff, to analyze the students grades and take decisions, right? So by using these web systems, actually academic staff would be what analyze the student grades and they can take decisions, right? So actually this is an example for intranet, right? How it comes as an intranet? It's their own it's for their own employees, no, for their academic staff, and internal data, see, student grades, and they want to take decisions, right? So this comes under intranet. This is not an extranet, right? Extranet means some kind of extranet is developing for some outside people. Here the own academic staff means they are employees, so this is comes under intranet, right? So it's easy to identify, right? uh, yes, the very next question, that's the fifth question. Which statement best describe the purpose of data mining? Nowadays very interesting topic, data mining. As I mentioned you earlier, data has become the most powerful asset or the most valuable asset for an organization, right? And also they are dealing with the vast amount of data. Now the volume is high, right? So we are calling them as big data concept, right? All the organization, if we take all the organization, they have equipped with data, and those just not little amount of data, they have vast amount of very big amount of data, right? So here normally data means whatever the raw materials that raw materials or the raw facts, right, that we can collect, right? So the data can be in form of numbers, in form of letters, in form of video clips, sound clips, right, images, right? Okay, those are the types of data that we can see, right? So data means what? Raw facts, right? No any meaning on these data, right? I mean, we can capture, as an organization we can capture data easily, right? We can collect data, right? So as an example, let's say if it is Keels, right? Okay, Keels is recording daily purchases, no, right? What is the product that they have sold, how, what is the quantity, and how many customers has taken that, like that they can record those things, right? And what is the amount, like that they are recording those things, right? So as I mentioned earlier, data are, we can categorize like numbers, letters, video clips, images, sound clips, and so on, right? Raw facts, right? And by collecting these data, right, over the years they are collecting the data, right? If we take a bank, imagine that at this moment how many transactions are happening, right? How many of you, how many of customers, their customers are using the ATM machines, how many are doing the fund transferring, how many are paying the bills through the through their accounts, right? See, all the records are there, right? And even they have to store these records, right? If, because they cannot lose these records, right? So if we take their databases, it's growing always, right? Okay, it's not going to shrink, it's growing, daily growing, weekly growing, right? Or secondly growing, minutely growing, right? Hourly growing, right? Keep on growing, right? So they have to keep these data, right? So data mining is a thing that here the practice of examine large pre-existing databases in order to generate new information, right? So according to IT, actually we have a concept, something like this. As I told you, we can capture data, right? And data, we said those are raw facts, right? So as an organization, always managers, they want to take decisions, right? So on top of data, right, managers are not taking decisions, right? On top of data, managers are not taking decisions because those are just raw facts, right? On top of raw facts we cannot take any what decisions, right? Okay, I'll give you a very small example, right? Now let's say I'm going to give you an assignment, like just imaginary assignment, like I'm going to ask you to record the temperature, right, of a particular month. Let's say I'm going to give a task to record the temperature of the April month, right? So we know April 1st, right? Okay, you can record the temperature. Then April 2nd, you can record the what? Temperature. April 3rd, you can do the same. Like that, you can do all over the month by recording the temperature, right? So at the end of the month, right? At the end of the month, you have all the records. What is that? The date and the temperature. Date and the temperature, right? Okay, so now you have a set of data. You have captured set of data, right? Okay, date and the temperature. So by looking at this data, this set of data, now you have just 1st, April 1st, let's say 32. April 2nd, it's like 33. April 3rd, it's like 28. Like that, we have records, right? Imagine you have a chart like that, right? So by looking at that, right, we cannot make any decision because we don't know, right? Each day it's a different temperature, right? Each day it's a different temperature. So by looking at April 1st figure, we cannot tell will the April month is hot or not, right? Okay, by looking at the April 21st figure, right, we cannot tell, okay, the normal temperature of the April month is this. We cannot tell something like that, right? So after completing this assignment, I'm going to ask you to calculate the average temperature of the April month, right? So there you have to do what? You have to add all together, all the data that you have. You have 31 entries. You are going to add all those entries together and divides, no, right, to find the average, right? And then we are getting what? We are getting the average temperature of the April month, right? Okay, so what we have done, we had data and we did a small calculation and created some kind of information. That's the idea, right? So we have a concept like, if we have data, right, if we have collected data, if we can perform some kind of a processing, right? Processing can be a calculation, summarization, sorting, comparison, right? Processing comes like in many forms, right? If we process these data, those data will transform as what? Information, right? Okay, that's the idea, right? So by looking at this information, by looking at our example was like average temperature, by looking at that average temperature value, I can make a decision, okay, the April month is this year, April month is somewhat hot, right? Or else this year April month is somewhat cooler. Like that, we can make a decision by looking at the information. That's the idea, right? So here, that's the concept behind this data, right? Even in an organization, right, managers, they are not making decisions on top of the data, they are making the decisions on top of the information, right? That's the idea, right? So this processing part is there, right? Processing data we can transform into the information after doing some kind of a processing, right? So this processing has become more easy thanks to the IT. That's the idea, right? That's how the information system comes into the scenario. You have data and you want to take information out. So now we have systems to do that, right? So here, data mining is about what? The practice of examine large pre-existing databases. What the data available? Pre-existing databases in order to generate new information, right? In order to generate new things, right? Why the, I mean, people are analyzing this, or the data, doing data mining to predict things, to do predictive analysis, right? What will happen in the future, right? Okay, if we take this decision, okay, what will happen, right? Will it be possible to achieve this amount of sales? Will it be possible to achieve possible to market this product here? Like that, organizations are taking a lot of decisions, right, by doing this data mining part. Okay, I'll finish this session by taking another example, right? This is the Tesco. Tesco means the world, one of the world's largest supermarket chain available uh, in Asia. Actually, Singapore we have a store. Other than that, within the Asia we can't find any store, right? And Tesco, actually they are using heavy technology, right? They are using numerous technologies. They have self checkouts as well, right? Not like our supermarkets, right? They are using lot of technologies. They are into heavy technologies, and they are using high end information systems, right? uh, Actually, this store, one of the Tesco store situated in America, I cannot remember the store exactly. They understood. I mean, now I told you, now they have a lot of systems and they are storing their data now, right? Day to day data they are storing, right? And okay, another thing, how the supermarkets are storing data, uh, thanks to the loyalty card, right? Okay, even Sri Lanka we are having loyalty cards, no, right? Keels they have Nexus, Food City they have a separate one, Apico they have Privilege, like the loyalty cards are there, right? So the purpose of introducing the loyalty card is like because they don't love us, right? Loyalty, if you have a loyalty card, yes, you can take the discounts, it's true, right? But the idea behind the loyalty cards is somewhat different, right? Because they want to do this data mining, because of that they have introduced the loyalty card, right? This example it's related with the loyalty card, right? So when you're purchasing a loyalty card from some kind of a shop, right, they are taking our name, right? And early days actually they gave a huge form and we have to fill one by one. Now they have made the process more easier by giving your name, national identity card number and the telephone number would be enough to take a loyalty card now, right? But early days they gave a form with somewhat like a brochure and you have to fill it if you can remember, right? And you have to provide all the details including your address. Now the address doesn't matter because we all are in digital technology now, right? So they are not taking your address, they are taking just name, NIC number and the telephone number, right? So they have your name, right? Fine, and they have your NIC number. In Sri Lanka, if they have, if one organization has their NIC number, that means they can retrieve your birthday, right? They can retrieve your birthday and even they can retrieve your age, right? Okay, so see the data mining, right? And your telephone number is there, right? And they can categorize you into dialogue users, mobitel users, hutch users and the Airtel users as well, right? Okay, see, by giving your but very critical information, the things that they are doing, right? That's why they are sending you a birthday wish, right? As a loyal customer, you are on your birthday you are getting a birthday wish, right? See how nice, right? And they are trying to make you loyal to the organization, right? And on your birthday they are giving you a discount, see how nice, right? Okay, actually the story behind that is very different, right? Why they need data from you, right, to predict future, that's the idea, right? So Tesco people they have a loyalty card, so each and every customer they have opt into this loyalty card system. So in a one stop, by analyzing by doing this data mining part, right, marketeers they have identified that on that particular store on Fridays they had high sales on beer can and the baby pampers, right? They have found that they had high sales on beer cans and baby pampers, two different things, and it's on Friday. Every Friday they had this pattern, right? They observe this some kind of a maybe 5 to 6 months, right? And they have understood that they have seen this pattern, right? How they have identified by using the data mining, right? And they have understood that okay, and on Fridays, right, they could see okay, high sales on beer, high sales on baby pampers, and there is no any relationship on these two products, right? Okay, further doing data mining through your loyalty card, they can identify whether the male or female are taking beer, whether the male or female are purchasing the pampers, right? Okay, like that they could find, they further did data mining thing, they further dig into deep, right? And found that on Friday actually, right, America, after Friday they are getting weekends, Saturday and Sunday, right? So most of the people are thinking like okay, it's the last day of office and it's okay to have a beer at home on Friday night, right? So that's why they had high sales on beer, right? And they have found that on Fridays, right, normally fathers they are getting a call from their wives, right, from mothers, that by saying okay, it's Friday, now our baby pampers stock has gone over, right? Stock is out now, please bring pampers, right? Because they have to get ready for the next week, right? So this was the story behind these two patterns, right? So what they have done is to increase the further sales, right? To increase further sales, they took this beer shelf and the baby pamper shelf together, right? So as a supermarket, so there's a norm like most of the customers are making the decision within the supermarket, right? That's a secret actually, right? Think about yourself, right? You are going shopping by having a list, but you will end up with buying unnecessary things, right? Unnecessary means the things which are not included in your list. Think about yourself. That's normal. Even it's normal for you and it's normal for me as well. Why? As human beings, we are making the decisions to buy within the store, right? So what they have done is they have taken this beer can shelf and the baby pampers shelf together, right? And they try to increase the sales, right, further, right? When the person comes to buy a beer, if he has a baby, obviously he may take pampers as well, right? If a person is coming to buy a pampers, right, or by looking at the beer shelf next to the pampers shelf, he might think, okay, it's good to have a beer, right? See the results of data mining. This is just a one small example, very small example, right? That's how organizations are using their collected data, right? Okay, and this thing is called as data mining, and this is the newest trend that we have in IT, right? In this era. Earlier it was like cyber security, now it's data mining, right? So any questions? And remember why we are using data mining. It's about what we want to generate new information, right, from the existing information, right? We don't have future data, no, we don't have future data with us, can't be, no, right? We have maybe present and past data, right? So by analyzing the present and past data only, we can predict the future, right? Okay, so that's how most of the companies are targeting the sales, giving targets to the each department like that. They are not giving just a number according to their gut feeling, no, they're analyzing the past data and then setting up the target. Okay, so any questions on that? Are you clear? Yes, are you clear? Right. So it's almost yes. Okay. So it's almost 8, right? And we have just discussed 5 questions, right? Okay. We have just discussed 5 questions only. So I mean, let's continue the session in some other day, right? Let's talk and have a session quickly, right? And I think this 1 hour session would be ideal for this particular kind of a paper discussion, right? And if not, please let us know, right? If you want to increase the time, just let me know. But if you're going to increase the time, something like this paper discussion, it will be boring, right? So just let's try to limit to a 1 hour's time, right? And let's continuously do this session and let's try to cover up the syllabus by using this pilot paper, right? And please, if you have any questions, please ask. You have the WhatsApp group, you have my email address, you can always use the chat, right, here available in the meeting available to raise the questions, right? And if you have any unclear parts that uh, which we have completed today, please let me know. So next session, at the very beginning of the next session, we can discuss that and move into the next set of questions, right? Actually I was planned to discuss 15 questions within 1 hour, but see, there are a lot to talk about. If we take one question, there are a lot to talk, right? So here today we have just finished the first 5 questions in your paper, right? So if you don't have any questions, we can wind up the session. Chanaka sir, are you there? Right. Any questions? Right. So I have a question here. Can you briefly explain the IS strategy, IT strategy, IM strategy? This question I will take as the very first question of the next session. Okay. I will discuss what is this IS, IT, and IM strategies. Okay. Right. So if you don't have any questions, let's wind up. Right.